sit down for this one. You guys have to sit down for this one. Over the past 5 years, we have brought you some of the most interesting and important camera legends of all time. But today, it is time for a change. On our videos, you have seen some of the best cameras, but today I got a special treat for you guys. What if we were to go around shooting with what you might call the internet's worst camera? Is there actually such a thing as a worst camera? Since this channel was founded on the greatest camera legends of all time, I had to think long and hard about doing this video. Is it worth ruining my reputation for high-end, high-quality cameras for this camera? Have to sit down for this one. You guys have to sit down for this one. I think I have to take off my glasses for this one too. Alright, so let me show you what this camera is. Alright you guys, so this is perhaps the most hated camera on the internet, the Yashica Y35. And let me show you guys what this camera is. In 2017, a company in Hong Kong who now own the rights to the legendary Yashica name started a Kickstarter campaign to fund a retro-styled camera with the promise of a film-like digital camera experience. Thousands of people pledged, raising over $1 million US. But instead of getting a replica of the beautiful heavy metal bodied Yashicas of yore, what the people got instead was this camera. Das Wunderkind, a plastic toy-like camera that looked more suited for a child than for a serious photographer. The internet started lighting up with angry reviews on this camera. There was a feeling, like the old ladies once said, we was duped. But were they really duped, or were the people just expecting a little too much? Well, I guess if I had pledged money to this, I would probably be angry too. I mean, after all, this is a very light, plasticky feeling camera with a fixed lens of questionable quality, and the images, well, let's talk about the images. Well, before plunking down my hard-earned $100 on this camera, I checked out every angry review and I felt their pain. But at the same time, I found myself drawn to the images. So I wanted to see for myself with fresh eyes what the image quality of this camera really is. So this is my honest image quality assessment, without the anger, without the resentment, and without the feeling that I was being duped. Okay, so under the right lighting, with the right subjects, the images to me have a nice kind of vibe to them. Now, the lens is surprisingly sharp, even though it has a lot of distortion. Night shots are tough on this camera, with blown highlights and a lot of noise. Black and white images look pretty cool to me. Now this is not your decisive moment street camera. Even for this shot, it's not exactly where I wanted it to be, but I wasn't going to wait another 15 minutes for another train to arrive. But the difference between this camera and your cell phone or an older high quality digicam is that this camera is distinctive enough to give images its own character. Now whether that character is good or bad is really up to you, the viewer. But as a wise man once said, if you can elicit a response out of people, whether it's good or bad, then you must be doing something right. Okay, so the image quality of this camera leaves me a little conflicted because in technical terms, technically, the images are among the worst, with lots of noise, blown out highlights, and at their worst, the images almost look like a video grab from an old camcorder. But aesthetically, at its best, these images have a distinctive look. As I said before, you could do much better with a modern cell phone camera or even an older high-quality Digicam. But the thing that separates this camera from those devices is the fact that the images from this camera are distinctive enough to give it character. Now, as I said, whether that character is good or bad, that's up to you, the viewer, but it's enough to make it different. Now, if only this camera felt better in the hands than it looks, but maybe it's just following the old Billy Crystal line. It is better to look good than to feel good, my friend. Now, it's worth noting that this camera does not have an LCD display of any kind, so you can't see your images, and in order to use this camera, you must have at least one of these Digifilm cartridges. I believe there are about 4 or 6 in total. So you basically put them in like a video game cartridge. You line up the electrical contacts. It doesn't make a distinctive click, but you just kind of feel that it's in there, and somehow it works. Now, this was a novel idea that might have sounded kind of cool at first, but it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, because they could have done all this with in-camera filters. I think the scary thing about this camera is that the fact that it was allowed to be made in the first place, because it's like an exploitation of all of our film-like dreams come to a nightmare pretty much. It shows really how much people actually really wanted something like this, despite the fact that we already have like Fuji X100s and all that stuff, but there is a big market for these retro-looking cameras. Despite all the negatives, I think the best compliment I could give this camera, the Yashica Y35, is that it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to take out to shoot. And despite feeling like a toy, it's a lot of fun, and maybe that's what it's all about. You know, toys are supposed to be fun. Yeah, so if you'll allow me just 1 minute, I just want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. You guys are the inspiration for this channel. And for you guys who like the content but have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. You know, this camera, just like the Contax and digital, you know, and many other cameras actually, I've wasted a lot of time, effort, and money chasing down these cameras to find out the real deal on these cameras. And sometimes you have winners and sometimes you don't, but I'm your guinea pig. I've wasted time and money, so you don't have to. But I can't keep doing this, you know, because I got a family to feed and everything, and it's costing. So you guys can help out by commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing. I appreciate if you do that. It would help me grow this channel so we can bring you more of the best and some of the worst. But anyway, yes, I would really appreciate you guys doing that. All right, so thanks once again in advance, and let's continue on with the Yashica Y35. So it's fairly simple. There are no manual controls on this camera, with the exception of the exposure compensation, which is plus or minus 2, I believe. And as I said, it's a fixed focus lens. Now, I originally thought it was a plastic lens, but according to Yashica, it's glass, so that's good. But besides from that, you really have no control over this camera. Now, image quality overall, I actually like the images from this camera. It's got a distinctive look. Now, if any of you guys remember my video from the Yashica EZ F521, the Yashica Digital Hoga, what I said was sometimes when you have all the right combinations of all the wrong things, sometimes that makes for interesting images, and this camera has a little bit of that same vibe. All right, so would I recommend it to most of you guys? Probably not, but to you hardcore camera geeks who can appreciate a hi-fi and lo-fi images, I could recommend it as another artistic tool in your camera cabinet. All right, so I hope you guys got something out of this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next video, I will catch you guys next time on theCameraLegend.com, and let's take a beautiful Yashica Y35 low budget, lo-fi, flimsy, but delicious image of you guys. Let's be careful with this winder, and let's go 1, 2, 3. I'll catch you guys next time on the cameralegend.com YouTube channel. Hey yo, it's Camera Legend.